coming up. The Supreme Court in Oklahoma rules that plans to legalize marijuana can continue.
While we're going to have some warmer temperatures, it is also going to be a windy one. Wind advisories already popping up on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And a fiscal forecast predicts Kansas will collect more taxes this year due to inflation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
There is a jacket. It's not Casual Friday.
The message did not get delivered, Michael.
Say what?
The message did not get delivered.
I know the wise one was like, no, Michael, I'm just going to belabor the point and you're just going to go jacketless here at the 5 o'clock hour. Yes, there will be a jacket. Hey, it's going to be nice and warm and nice and windy as well. 68 degrees already over 7th and Range Line. That wind coming in from the southeast at 10 miles per hour. That is a little bit deceiving because it is eventually going to read, say about 30 miles per hour by the time we get to the late morning, early afternoon. Already clocking in with some temperatures that are as high as 72 degrees out in Neodesha and Independence. And even as you work off to the far east, Monette and Cassville, that's hard to beat on a mid-April morning at 63 degrees because that is way higher than our average low for this time of year. We are going to be void of any precipitation. We don't have to worry about any of that rain sneaking up and hitting us. What we do have to worry about is not getting knocked over when you're simply walking down the road because the wind is going to just be on us all day long. Now here's what we've got for the rest of our day. Temperatures up in the 80s today, and then as we begin Saturday, really Saturday morning for the most part is looking good. Late Saturday morning, early afternoon, we pick up a little rain that begins to fall there in the far west. But for the most part, the organized and widespread rain really doesn't get started until Saturday night. And that is going to throw a little thunder and lightning in there and last all the way into Sunday morning. Temperatures a little bit cooler after the rain comes in. But like I said, for the rest of today and really for the most part of Saturday, things are looking almost, Tanya, I hesitate to say this, almost a taste of summer, if you will. Late spring, perhaps. I mean, 81 and 79 with sunny skies. That's hard to beat.
Hey, perfect weather for Earth Day, which would be today.
Is today Earth Day?
Yes, it is.
I knew that.
April 22nd.
Right. I'm on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Earth Day. Yay, Earth Day.
Hey, at least you didn't walk into the break room and spill coffee all down your shirt like I did yesterday.
Yeah, but the print that Tanya had on yesterday, it was such a beautiful print on your shirt that you couldn't even tell.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because it was hot.
And in the words of Rod Stewart, you wear it well. How about that?
Just fight back the burn of the coffee. All right. Good morning to you too. Good morning, 4 states.
Good morning, 4 states. Good night, Moon. Good morning, 4 states.
There you go. Happy Friday. The Oklahoma Supreme Court rules plans to fully legalize marijuana can proceed to the signature gathering stage. The High Court's ruling paves the way for 2 more cannabis plans seeking voter approval. One of those plans would legalize, regulate, and tax the recreational use of marijuana for adults 21 and older. The other would remove the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority from the Oklahoma State Department of Health and create an entirely new state agency called the Oklahoma State Cannabis Commission. Well, there's a new playground in Miami, Oklahoma, thanks to a grant. The City of Miami park crew finished installing pirate ship-themed equipment, including slides, a climbing apparatus, crow's nest, a walking bridge, and a swing set. The equipment was paid for with a $24,000 tobacco settlement endowment trust, or TEST grant. And Kansas receives a $61.3 million payment as part of a tobacco settlement. Attorney General Derek Schmidt says annual payments have been received since 1999, totaling more than $1.3 billion. The payments were intended to offset cost of tobacco-related illness and disease paid for by Kansas taxpayers through government-paid medical benefits. Money is also used to pay for various children's programs in Kansas. A new Kansas fiscal forecast is predicting inflation will boost state tax collections more than previously expected. Forecasters increased their projections for tax collections through June of 2023 by $760 million. It's intensifying the dispute between Democratic Governor Laura Kelly and the Republican-controlled legislature over how to cut taxes. Governor Kelly wants to eliminate the state's 6.5% sales tax on groceries, while Republican lawmakers are proposing to phase it out over 3 years. On Thursday, Freeman Health System opened a new clinic in Pittsburgh. The Freeman Specialty Clinic will provide easier access to specialists for patients living in Pittsburgh rather than driving to the specialty clinic in Joplin.
We will have a variety of specialists that are operating out of this clinic, but to begin with, we have endocrinology, nephrology, and pulmonology, and then we'll be adding pain medicine very soon as well as some other testing services.
The clinic is on North Broadway in the former Quinlan Eye Center building. It's been renovated and now includes 6 exam rooms. A mural in Joplin honoring Black history is one step closer to reality after a donation from Connect to Culture. On Thursday, Connect to Culture donated a check worth $6,500 to the Langston Hughes Cultural Society. The mural will feature famous Black Americans who are either from Joplin or performed in Joplin, including Ella Fitzgerald, Cab Calloway, and Dizzy Gillespie. Officials with the Cultural Society say they're working on deciding where the mural will be located.
We are right now securing a spot for it to be painted on, and at that time we'll do an announcement probably, and I'd like to see it projected onto the wall that we're going to use, and then but right now we're in the fundraising process of this.
Connect to Culture raised the money from a concert by saxophonist and Joplin native Charles McPherson. Well, a new home in Joplin is a bit unique. It's not powered by electricity, but propane. On Thursday, the Missouri Propane Education and Research Council hosted an open house at the home so people could learn about propane power. The home was built by T.R. Smith Construction with all propane appliances. Even the lights are powered by propane. Officials say propane's efficiency can help homeowners save money by using less energy.
Well, the cost on propane, if you figure a BTU basis, if you're looking at your electric bill, and certainly electricity is a great thing, so we're not trying to displace all electricity, but propane is about 40% of the cost of electricity on a BTU basis when you figure out all the different costs involved. So it is very efficient.
Officials say when it comes to safety, a propane-powered home is just as safe as an electric one. It's become a yearly tradition in Seneca. The elementary school does an all-school reading event, and this year the book is Stuart Little. This year, the elementary school read the book with the intermediate school.
Last year, we had to do the celebrations here at school during the school day. We didn't have parents in because of COVID, but we were so excited to be able to invite families this year and put everybody together and have this big hooray for Stuart Little.
That's it.
School staff says the reading event engages parents and promotes family connections. Well, it's the candy that fits any holiday. So, of course, it has its own unofficial one. April 22nd is National Jelly Bean Day. Well, there's a lot of national things for every day. Now, while we do not know when the sweets were first created, the National Day calendar states a Boston candy maker made them popular during the Civil War. The egg-shaped mini candies have been closely associated with Easter since the 1930s, but since they come in a variety of flavors, you can find them in stores for most holidays, including Halloween, Christmas, and Valentine's Day. I will say this is nice. I will say this Easter, I waited until 3 days before Easter, and there was a jelly bean shortage at many stores. You have a jacket on, and we're definitely going to point that out. You're now wearing a jacket.
Wasn't there like a massive candy shortage?
I went to
Was
Walmart.
it Valentine's Day?
There was 3 days before Easter, one bag of jelly beans in the entire store of Walmart.
On a serious note, do you think that has to do with, like, as much as we kind of make light of it behind the scenes and whatnot, do you think that had anything to do with like shipping containers? And
I don't know, because then I went to Dillon's and there was not a big variety, but plenty of the Starburst ones, which are my favorite. No, okay, I take that back. Walmart did have the plain, like, original kinds, you know?
I'm curious too about
There's so many
people's-
varieties now that's...
At some point in time, we'll get a deep dive discussion on this, but I'm curious too about people's shopping habits, because this Easter we were coming off of a 2-year hiatus, really, and Valentine's Day as well, and throw any holiday that you're going to associate with candy in there. We were coming off of a 2-year hiatus as far as our shopping habits go, and I wonder how those have changed for people during the pandemic, and whether maybe some people, and I'm trying to think of for lack of a better term, if people went overboard and were buying a lot more, and then you've got companies that weren't used to having people buy a lot more, and so maybe they weren't stocking.
Maybe, I don't know. Might just be the shipping issues too. Who knows?
Might just be me getting a stepladder here in between commercial breaks and removing a light from the studio if it does that again.
Our lights to go on and off.
Bill's at a conference. He can't stop me today. How about that?
Oh dear, what's gonna go? Be prepared for
About
it.
to become an assistant engineer. How about that?
I'm just gonna sit here and eat my jelly beans.
Hey, it's going to be warm and windy today. Highs around 81 degrees. Wind advisory in effect, going to come in, say about 30 miles per hour this afternoon.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and comments from Michael in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Northeast Lady Vikings look for a win as they take on the Southeast Lancers to keep their 12-0 record. Plus, the demand for sand is high, but reports say demand needs to be cut back. Today, we want to know what you're doing for Earth Day. Connect the two there. And the CDC launches a new disease forecasting center to help predict future infectious disease. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Pittsburgh State Gorillas have been one of the best teams in the MIAA all season long, but a little bit of a rough patch in the past week as the Gorillas have now dropped 5 straight, falling to 17-10 in conference play. PSU on the road trying to get things turned around in the series opener against Newman, and being on the road is what they're really going to do for the rest of the year. But at least they're starting off with a win as they win this thing 7-3. Trey McClellan have a day, 2 for 4 with a 3-run home run in the first inning. Missouri Southern also on the field, a 3-game set against Northeastern State. Lions fall 14-4 despite the fact that Matt Miller went 2 for 3, and he also had a 3-run home run. On the high school level, the McDonald County Mustangs on quite a little bit of a roll right now. They're 14-4. They're 3-0 in the Big 8. They made it up to number 6 in the Missouri Class 5 state rankings. Mustangs at home against Cassville, looking to stay perfect in league play. We'll pick it up in the bottom of the second, and that's where we find Jack Parnell. Oh, that's fundamental baseball at its finest. Lays down the bunt, the throw to first, a little late, and off the mark. As Parnell goes to second, Rylan Armstrong scores the first run of the night. Now in the second inning, after the pitch gets away, Destin Dowd takes off, and Destin Dowd just keeps running. That kind of night. McDonald County wins 8-0. Mustangs now 4-0 in the Big 8, 15-4 overall.
There's still some big games ahead of us. All that is great, and we're excited to be there. And credit to these kids for putting us in that situation. But there's still some really, really big games ahead of us, and we're only as good as our next game.
I'll tell you who's been sneaky good this year. It's the Northeast Vikings. They hit the field softball-wise. Big Three Rivers League matchup against Southeast. Hosting the Lancers, aiming to stay undefeated this spring. Heads into this matchup. They're 12-0 this season. Southeast not bad at all. They're 7-1. Now the Vikings still perfect because they kind of do it all. Get this. They're batting .556. The team has a batting average of .556. They've got 10 home runs. Northeast is averaging 16 runs a game. Sheely Underwood in the circle's been unreal. She's 9-0 in 11 appearances. She's got 86 strikeouts in 43 innings.
She has been such a workhorse, I'll tell you. She's pitching every day. I make her go home in ice because we need her arm. And she rises to every challenge. We've taught her a couple new pitches, and she never complains. And she goes out there pretty much with a smile every time.
I think my changeup has improved the most. I've learned a new one, and it's really helped. And I've struggled trying to find so many changeups, but I think my changeup is a big deal, and that it has helped me throughout the whole entire season.
I love seeing that our team is scoring runs and backing her up because it just shows that as a team we can hit and we can do other things. It's not just, our pitching and our catching or our defense that's working. It's everything together.
Those numbers I just railed off as far as Northeast goes, that's like a video game. 556 as a team in Underwood with 86 strikeouts in 43 innings. My goodness. Two of the hottest softball teams in SEK meeting last night in Frontenac. It was the Raiders on the field, non-conference matchup against the Chanute Blue Comets. Frontenac 9-1 on the season. Chanute 10-2. Avery Johnson in the circle for the NAC, and she was rolling. Struck out 7 of the first 8 batters she saw. In the 5th, offense helps her out. Abby Beeman pulls one into right. Here comes one, Maddie Lajatis. She's going trot home. Raiders go up 5-0. Johnson, 13 strikeouts in the first 5 innings. Jacob Leonard recorded this one as a one-hitter. I'm going to go ahead and say that runner that got on base in the first inning, play probably should have been made. HP, I love you. It was pretty much a no-hitter. She had 16 strikeouts on the night. Frontenac shut out Chanute 8-0. All right, also Chanute Frontenac on the baseball side, just across the parking lot there. Comets on a 4-game win streak, and Frontenac came in at 9-1. Frontenac got 6 runs in the 5th inning alone. Win this thing 9-5. Alex Williams, 2 hits and a pair of RBIs for the Raiders. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, leaders of North and South Korea exchanging personal letters. We'll explain the significance and a check on our 7-day forecast from the KOAM Morning News returns. Warm and windy going to be our key factors on this Friday. It will be delightful as far as our temperatures go, as we're already pressing up in the high 60s, even some low 70s. Especially throughout southeast Kansas. Still holding on to 63 there in Monette and Cassville, but that is hard to beat as well this time of year. Wind advisory for our counties indicated in tan. Even if your county is not indicated, please know it is going to be very, very blustery outside. Here's a look at our current wind miles per hour. It's not too bad now, but it is going to get a whole lot worse. So as you look at Independence and Chanute, now we're pushing up to 20 miles per hour there in Independence. But since it comes out of the south, remember, warmer temps really don't have to deal with any rain until we get to tomorrow late afternoon into the evening hours. It'd be nice if I reloaded that here. This is the one that we want going into the weekend. So a little late afternoon, evening rain for Saturday takes us into Sunday. A little bit cooler on Sunday as well. As far as our rain goes, should be done with that by about Sunday mid-morning. And so if you have any afternoon, evening activities on Sunday, everything looks good for that as well. All right, something's in hot demand to build everything from your smartphone to skyscrapers. And we'll make that the subject of our Insta poll and our something to talk about this morning, not only on the Insta poll, but also the KOAM News Now Facebook page. It's sand. Now, sand may seem like it's in an infinite supply, but reports warn the world needs to cut back on using sand. It's prompted some creative solutions from those hoping their small changes build a greater impact. Karen Kafa explains the crush to curb the sand demand.
Franziska Troutman and the team at Glass Half Full are thinking small to help preserve the vast Louisiana coastline.
One way or another, growing up in Louisiana, I've always heard about our coastal erosion crisis.
Started near Tulane University in New Orleans to help boost the city's overall glass recycling, the Glass Half Full facility pulverizes glass into gravel and sand particle sizes.
That coarser sand is what we're ideally using for coastal restoration.
Glass Half Full is currently part of a project with Tulane and funded by the National Science Foundation to research how more recycled glass sand can be used to step up Gulf Coast restoration.
So we're producing, a couple tons a week, And these projects need millions of tons of sand in order to combat our coastal erosion crisis.
Looking at a sandy beach, it doesn't seem like sand could ever be in short supply. But demand has tripled over the last 2 decades, according to the United Nations Environment Program, to between 40 and 50 billion tons per year. Sand is used everywhere, from glass and smartphone screens, asphalt on roads, silicon chips in home electronics, and in the global construction boom, especially in concrete. And it takes a certain sand particle, size, and shape for these everyday uses. Desert sand is eroded by the wind, too round and too smooth. Louise Gallagher of the University of Geneva says the sand really in demand is extracted near water, impacting riverbanks, lakes, and coastlines.
We've been taking so much sand out of our natural systems that we're almost overshooting the geological replenishment rate.
In landlocked Kansas City, Ripple Glass, born out of a brewery, says they collect nearly 900 tons of glass every week across 9 Midwest states. Their facility processes glass for new bottles, but it also grinds it into cullet, particles that can be used as a sand substitute in things like fiberglass insulation and other construction materials.
The good news is there's plenty of appetite for the cullet product produced within Kansas City.
Gallagher says the world shouldn't panic yet, but think about the alternatives.
There's lots of possibilities. It's really a question of the harder job in some ways of the cultural and mindset shifts.
Before what seems like an endless resource runs dry. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
That story of importance today because it is Earth Day. Our question for you on the Insta poll, what are you doing for Earth Day? A couple ways to connect, KOAMNewsNow.com or via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
CDC launches a new disease forecasting center to tell you when to watch out for emerging viruses based on lessons learned during the COVID-19 pandemic. Cole Higgins tells us about it.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has launched a new tool to help communities gauge the seriousness of emerging health threats. The Center for Forecasting and Outbreak Analytics, or CFA, aims to be a national weather service for infectious diseases, according to the CDC. Just as your meteorologist gives you a heads up on the day's weather, the CFA intends to do the same, but for infectious diseases.
In this way, CFA will help reduce the clinical burden and mortality while diminishing the potential for social and economic disruption during health threats.
The need for a system like this became clear during the COVID-19 pandemic.
The response from our leadership, our public health leadership, has been to scramble, to pull together evidence, to try to make the best decisions we can. It's also been really clear this is no way to run a response to a pandemic.
Planning for the center began last August with $200 million in funding from the 2021 federal stimulus package, and the investment is already paying off. The center anticipated the timing and impact of the Omicron variant.
We were able to alert the public, health leaders, and our other partners, providing advance notice of the timing and magnitude of the expected surge.
The CDC hopes forecasts from the center will help communities across the nation respond more quickly and effectively to the emergence of future viruses to prevent another global pandemic.
That's a look at one of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, the Supreme Court in Oklahoma rules plans to legalize marijuana can continue.
We got a blustery one on our hands, but those wind arrows say as long as it moves in from the south, it's going to be a warm one as well. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And a fiscal forecast predicts Kansas will collect more taxes this year due to inflation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. Actually, it's about 5:33 at this point.
33. That's what. Yep, I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy 5:33. And it's going. It's 5:33, which means we've got about let's say an hour, 5 minutes until sunrise, and it's already coming in at 20 miles per hour. Usually we have to wait till the sun comes up, get to late morning, and then the wind really picks up. Oh, no. It is already blowing sideways out there. Now, it's not too bad at Joplin Regional Airport. That's only at 10 miles per hour, but it's going to work in from west to east, and that has already led us to wind advisories for our counties indicated in tan. Now, the graduation of the brown to tan colors that you see out to the west, if we go to the Wichita area, that's a high wind watch, and then if you go to the Hayes Dodge City area, that's a high wind warning. So it does go to show you that the farther west that you push, the harder that it does blow. Skywatch Storm Tracker is going to remain clean. And as these move in from the south, as you can see out in Independence and Chanute, where we're at 20 and 15 miles per hour, at least as it comes in from the south, what that does mean are some very warm temperatures. Look at that, 72s and 73s out on the western edge of southeast Kansas, where we're still waiting for the wind to pick up on the eastern edge of southwest Missouri, sitting at 63 in both Monette and in Cassville. But eventually everybody's up into the high 70s, if not low 80s. Later on today, and we don't have to worry about any rain. Just fighting the wind, that'll be the extent of it. We will have some rain that begins to kick in tomorrow late afternoon, early evening. Not looking at anything severe. We'll pack a little thunder and lightning into that Saturday night into Sunday morning. Then about mid-Sunday morning, back to being done and kind of finishing out Sunday in fine fashion as well.
All right.
Really, next week's looking good. The fact that we start off with 3 dry days. I will point out that Monday night into Tuesday, going to have a definitive chill in the air coming off of our 80s today. We are going to drop down just a skosh below 40 degrees for that overnight low, but I don't think we'll have to worry about any frost advisories, and we'll still be a far cry away from freeze warnings, even when we do get that cold front that rolls in.
We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that for sure.
You seem skeptical when you look at my 7-day forecast like that.
Well, I'm excited. It's 81 degrees today, and then we've got temperatures in the low in the 30s on Monday night. So, I mean, come on. We won't get consistency here. But.
In other words, what you're saying is, hey, Slip, step your game up.
Yeah.
Get your yard mode?
Not yet.
I just want to throw it out there. I got
no, but that wind
I got
today.
I got super defensive right there. I got super defensive, and I was like, all right, did you get your yard mode?
I got till Saturday at 2.
This afternoon would be great for it.
Yeah. If I had free time, it'd be great.
The wind doesn't blow.
You should just come over and offer to do it yourself. Just kidding. All right, thanks, Michael. Oklahoma Supreme Court rules plans to fully legalize marijuana can proceed to the signature gathering stage. The High Court's ruling paves the way for 2 more cannabis plans seeking voter approval. One of those plans would legalize, regulate, and tax the recreational use of marijuana for adults 21 and older. The other would remove the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority from the Oklahoma State Department of Health and create an entirely new state agency called the Oklahoma State Cannabis Commission. A new Kansas fiscal forecast predicts inflation will boost state tax collections more than previously expected. Forecasters increased their projections for tax collections through June of 2023 by $760 million. It's intensifying the dispute between Democratic Governor Laura Kelly and the Republican-controlled legislature over how to cut taxes. Governor Kelly wants to eliminate the state's 6.5% sales tax on groceries, while Republican lawmakers are proposing to phase it out over 3 years. On Thursday, Freeman Health System opened a new clinic in Pittsburgh. The Freeman Specialty Clinic will provide easier access to specialists for patients living in Pittsburgh rather than driving to the specialty clinic in Joplin. Specialty services at the clinic include kidney care, lung care, and endocrinology services. A pain management specialist will join the clinic in June.
Because we serve so many residents from southeast Kansas, and it can be very difficult for them to travel to Joplin for appointments. So having this clinic here with our specialists present right in this community really helps patients access the care they need.
The clinic is located at 1606 North Broadway in Pittsburgh. That's at the old Quinlan Eye Care Center. Well, a big donation on Thursday will help fund a mural in Joplin honoring Black history. Connect to Culture gave a $6,500 check to the Langston Hughes Cultural Society. They raised the money from a concert by saxophonist and Joplin native Charles McPherson. The mural will feature famous Black Americans who are either from Joplin, like McPherson, or performed in Joplin, including Ella Fitzgerald, Cab Calloway, and Dizzy Gillespie. The location of the mural has not yet been decided. Here's Michael with a look at your forecast.
Tanya, as we press into the weekend here, one thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is especially in Newton and McDonald County because of the amount of rain that was picked up yesterday alone. And while today's going to be warm and windy and kind of help us dry out a little bit, let's not forget that we're going to get additional rainfall there from Saturday night into Sunday morning. While the majority of the 4 states is going to be able to absorb that, for those of you in Newton and McDonald County, I want you on your toes for additional chances of flooding by the time Sunday morning is over.
All right, this morning we are discussing Earth Day, and sand is in hot demand. It's used in everything from your smartphone to skyscrapers. However, it may seem there's an infinite supply of it. Reports are warning the world to curb their demand for sand. That's why there's folks coming up with alternative solutions to try and help with the sand supply issues. Take Franziska Troutman and the team at Glass Half Full, for example. Their facility pulverizes glass into gravel and sand particle sizes. Glass Half Full is a part of the project with Tulane and funded by the National Science Foundation to research how much more recycled glass sand can be used to restore things such as Gulf Coast restoration.
Brings us to our something to talk about, Tanya. Our specific question, what are you doing for Earth Day? And while 76% of you have chosen the other option, we do have 12% saying that they plan on going for a walk and 12% doing a little gardening, which with the temperatures and whatnot, not surprising. Getting outside, getting the flowers in, and probably hoping that rain Saturday into Sunday helps it take root and whatnot.
And Earth Day doesn't just have to be today. I know a lot of people are celebrating it throughout the weekend. We have an event in Pittsburgh we're going to be learning more about later this morning.
You know what we say in the Hayslip household? Every day is Earth Day.
Every day is Earth Day.
We don't actually say that. I just made that up.
It should be, though.
Should be.
Because if not, then you forget Mother Nature is...
No, trust me, I don't forget about her. That is for sure. My fickle mistress.
There you go. All right, thanks, Michael. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up on this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, DeSantis aims to take on Disney with the passage of a new law. We'll take you to Florida for the story. Plus, a suspect is finally named in the case of Madeleine McCann. We'll have the latest on that. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, the former president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, has been extradited to the United States where he will face drug trafficking and weapons charges. Hernandez was extradited in a U.S. DEA plane that left Tegucigalpa and landed late Thursday evening in New York. The former president is expected in court this Friday. Patrick Obman has more.
Even though the extradition of Honduras's former president Juan Orlando Hernandez has been in the works for quite some time, it was still a stunning development, especially for a region where impunity and official corruption are all too common. According to U.S. officials, Hernandez, while he served as Honduras's president, essentially accepted bribes from Mexican drug traffickers to allow his country to become a transshipment point for their loads of cocaine that were heading to the U.S. Now it is Hernandez who's being taken to the U.S. by U.S. officials, where he will stand trial for drug trafficking, for this alleged corruption that he took place in. Hernandez has repeatedly denied the charges that he essentially turned his country over to Mexican drug traffickers. He says that he's being framed by criminals and that he is innocent and will be cleared of all charges. But Hernandez's brother has already been tried and found guilty in the United States for some of these same charges, for being an intermediary between his brother, the former president, and these drug traffickers. And a lot of the details that authorities appear to have on the former president have already been revealed. So it seems like authorities feel, at least, that they have built a strong case, and that is why they've taken this really unusual step of extraditing a former head of state to face trial for drug trafficking. Honduran authorities say they are continuing to investigate Hernandez and that many of his properties in that country could be seized if it can be proven that they were bought with illegal funds.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and his South Korean counterpart, President Moon Jae-in, expressed their appreciation for peace efforts on the Korean peninsula in a rare exchange of personal letters on Friday. And that's according to North Korean state media. Two leaders apparently also share the view that improving bilateral relations would take, quote, tireless efforts. This comes as Moon is set to wrap up his only 5-year term, which will come to an end on May 9th, with President-elect Yoon Suk-yeol taking his place in office. Prosecutors in Portugal believe they finally have a suspect in the Madeleine McCann case. The 3-year-old British girl vanished from a Portuguese resort while on vacation with her family in 2007. Her disappearance sparked an international manhunt, and no one has ever been charged with her abduction. While authorities have not identified the suspect, it's believed he may already be in custody in Germany for an unrelated crime. The person in question is already serving a long prison sentence and has previous convictions for sexually abusing children. While his name has not been released, Germany has made him an official suspect at the request of Portuguese investigators. We will definitely be following this story. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled plans to fully legalize marijuana can proceed to the signature gathering stage. The High Court's ruling paves the way for 2 more cannabis plans seeking voter approval. One of those plans would legalize, regulate, and tax the recreational use of marijuana for adults 21 and older. The other would remove the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority from the Oklahoma State Department of Health and create an entirely new state agency called the Oklahoma State Cannabis Commission. Well, there's a new playground in Miami, Oklahoma, thanks to a grant. The City of Miami Park Crew has finished installing pirate ship-themed equipment, including slides, a climbing apparatus, crow's nest, a walking bridge, and a swing set. The equipment was paid for with a $24,000 Tobacco Settlement and Endowment Trust, or TEST grant. Kansas receives a $61.3 million payment as part of a tobacco settlement. Attorney General Derek Schmidt says annual payments have been received since 1999, totaling more than $1.3 billion. Payments were intended to offset the cost of tobacco-related illness and disease paid for by Kansas taxpayers through government-paid medical benefits. Money is also used to pay for various children's programs in Kansas. A new Kansas fiscal forecast predicts inflation will boost state collections more than previously expected. Forecasters increased their projections for tax collections through June of 2023 by $760 million. It's intensifying the dispute between Democratic Governor Laura Kelly and the Republican-controlled legislature over how to cut taxes. Governor Kelly wants to eliminate the state's 6.5% sales tax on groceries, while Republican lawmakers are proposing to phase it out over 3 years. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Lower 80s today, very windy as well. Wind advisories in effect. Stay on the dry side until thunderstorm activity kicks in tomorrow. But even tomorrow afternoon, we're back into the high 70s, and more KOAM morning news right after this. Live look over 7th and Rangeline as we prepare for a delightful day up in the 80s with strong high winds. Florida's governor, Rick DeSantis, he's gone to war with the Magic Kingdom. Republicans targeting Disney, the state's largest employer, after the company publicly condemned a new law that critics believe targets LGBTQ students. Manuel Bojorquez with the story.
70 yeas, 38 days, Mr.
Show the bill
Speaker.
passes. Read the next bill.
Florida's legislature made good on the governor's threat today. The move strips Disney's Special Improvement District, which allows it to govern and tax itself, to build roads, provide power, and some emergency services around its theme parks. It's been that way since 1967.
We call it Epcot.
But things soured when Disney publicly criticized Florida's parental rights and education law, which opponents call Don't Say Gay, because it prohibits public school instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity in grades K through 3.
We're certainly not going to bend a knee to woke executives in California.
This week, Governor Ron DeSantis asked lawmakers to dissolve Disney's special district.
Is this retaliation?
No, I don't think so. But I think that when you kick the hornet's nest, I think sometimes issues rise up that you weren't aware of.
Republican State Representative Randy Fine wrote the House bill.
Disney's charter allows them to build a nuclear power plant. And these are not things that may make a lot of sense.
He says taxpayers won't have to foot the bill with Disney out.
What he's saying is absurd.
But Scott Randolph, Orange County's tax collector, says residents could be stuck with a roughly $163 million bill.
For the citizens of Orange County, you're talking a financial fiasco. Anything that comes with a normal municipal government would fall to Orange County with zero additional revenue.
It wasn't the only controversial bill to pass today here in Florida. Amid protests by some lawmakers who even staged a sit-in, the House gave final approval to the governor's redrawing of the state's congressional map, which is expected to give the GOP 4 additional seats while dismantling 2 districts which are currently served by black members of Congress. Manuel Bojorquez, CBS News, Orlando.
Be right back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. Get an idea that it's going to be a warm and windy one today, up around 80 degrees. We'll break down future track and take a look at our weekend when the KOAM Morning News returns right after this.
Coming up, the Oklahoma Supreme Court gives the green light to move forward on legalizing marijuana.
We started this work week with frost advisories and freeze warnings, and now we're going to finish it off with 80-degree temperatures. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the state of Kansas predicts a boost to the amount of tax collections due to inflation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Truly something else when we talk about where we started off this work week. It was frigid. The wind was blowing in from the north, doing so at 20 to 25 miles per hour. We had temperatures and wind chills in the high 20s. And here we sit pre-sunrise on this Friday, not but 4 days later, and we're already at 72 on the western edge of southeast Kansas. And even in the eastern edge of southwest Missouri, where we were in the low 60s earlier, now we've pushed up to 65 in both Monette and Cassville, with Joplin sitting at 69 degrees. Now, the downfall of it all is we are going to have to put up with a very windy Friday. We got wind advisories that eventually end up in high wind watches and warnings there as you work off to the west. Even if your county throughout southwest Missouri is not part of it, it's going to be blustery out there. That, of course, is the reflectivity picked up by the sweeping radar. We removed that. We do have some light cloud cover. So great shot of the moon. Clouds are flying very low this morning, and so it looks very neat with the wind pushing them so so quickly across the moonlight as well. Big ridge of the jet stream. We get underneath that. Our temperature is going to be up into the 80s today. Do have some rain coming this weekend. Can't ignore that. But it won't really be on us until we get into Saturday evening. Now, when we do get into Saturday evening, a couple things I want to point out here. Saturday morning, going to be delightful. Then as we work toward the afternoon, evening hours, we become spotty. Then, that right there, Saturday night into Sunday morning, because the 2 places that I'm most concerned about are going to be Newton and McDonald County in southwest Missouri, because of the amount of rain they picked up yesterday. That's where we had Route D, we had Route CC closed because of the flooding. Yeah. And we're going to be right back on that Saturday night and Sunday.
Have to keep an eye on that for sure. Plan an alternate route if necessary.
Yeah, I would just go ahead, just for the sake of safety and for the sake of timeliness and whatnot. I would just probably plan on staying off of those till next week.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Michael. Oklahoma Supreme Court rules plans to fully legalize marijuana can proceed to the signature gathering stage. High Court's green light paves the way for 2 more cannabis plans seeking voter approval. One of those plans would legalize, regulate, and tax the recreational use of marijuana for adults 21 and older. The other would remove the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority from the Oklahoma State Department of Health and create an entirely new state agency called the Oklahoma State Cannabis Commission. A tobacco settlement pays the state of Kansas $61.3 million. Attorney General Derek Schmidt says the annual payments have been received since 1999, totaling more than $1.3 billion. Payments were intended to offset the cost of tobacco-related illness and disease paid for by Kansas taxpayers through government-paid medical benefits. Money is also used to pay for various children's programs in Kansas. The new Kansas fiscal forecast predicts inflation will boost state tax collections more than previously expected. The forecasters increased their projections for tax collections through June of 2023 by $760 million. It's intensifying the dispute between Democratic Governor Laura Kelly and the Republican-controlled legislature over how to cut taxes. Governor Kelly wants to eliminate the state's 6.5% sales tax on groceries, while Republican lawmakers are proposing to phase it out over 3 years. And folks in Pittsburgh now have another healthcare location to choose from. On Thursday, Freeman Health System opened a new clinic in Pittsburgh. Freeman Specialty Clinic will provide easier access to specialists for patients living in Pittsburgh, rather than driving to the specialty clinic in Joplin. Specialty services at the clinic include kidney care, lung care, and endocrinology services. The pain management specialist will join the clinic in June.
Because we serve so many residents from Southeast Kansas, and it can be very difficult for them to travel to Joplin for appointments. So having this clinic here with our specialists present right in this community really helps patients access the care they need.
Clinic is located at 1606 North Broadway in Pittsburgh. A Black History mural in Joplin takes one step closer to reality after a generous donation. On Thursday, Connect to Culture donated a check worth $6,500 to the Langston Hughes Cultural Society. The mural will feature famous Black Americans who are either from Joplin or performed in Joplin, including Ella Fitzgerald, Cab Calloway, and Dizzy Gillespie. Officials with the Cultural Society say they are working on deciding where the mural will be located.
We are right now securing a spot for it to be painted on, and at that time we'll do an announcement probably, and I'd like to see it projected onto the wall that we're going to use, and then but right now we're in the fundraising process of this.
Connect to Culture raised the money from a concert by saxophonist and Joplin native Charles McPherson. As Russian efforts to take the Donbas region escalate, so does the aid to Ukraine from the United States. On Thursday, President Biden said the U.S. is rushing another $800 million worth of military equipment to Kyiv. The shipment includes advanced artillery and anti-tank weapon systems. He also announced $500 million in direct economic relief for Ukraine, money intended to keep its government running. Meanwhile, Russian leader Vladimir Putin declared victory in the strategically crucial city of Mariupol, although Ukrainian officials say the battle is not over yet. We'll have more on the Russian invasion of Ukraine in our next half hour. Well, on this date, back in 1876, the Boston Red Caps defeated the Philadelphia Athletics 6-5 in the first official National League baseball game. The game, which lasts a little more than 2 hours, is played in, quote, favorable weather before 3,000 fans at the Athletics grounds at 25th and Jefferson Street. In 1876, the pitching mound was 45 feet from home plate instead of today's 60 feet, 6 inches. Pitches were supposed to be delivered underhanded, but pitchers violated that rule with impunity. That was according to official historian John Thorne. 9 errant balls walked a batter instead of 4 in the modern game. And before an at-bat, a batter could specify a high strike zone.
All right, they got to tell the pitcher, as you threw it underhanded, where they wanted it. You got to decide. It wouldn't be until 1884 that they would legalize overhand pitching. Pretty amazing. 7-day forecast with today is going to be a warm one, 81 degrees. It is going to be a windy one as well. Coming in from the south, we'll gust for 40 to 45 miles per hour with wind advisories. Nice thing is we'll stay on the dry side until we get to Saturday night.
That's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, get ready for an Earth Day event in Pittsburgh, Kansas tomorrow. We've got Denise Fitzpatrick in studio to give us all the details. Plus, the January 6th committee continues to interview more members of the Trump administration. Donald Trump Jr. looks to be next. And routine childhood immunizations dropped during the COVID-19 pandemic. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, a source says Donald Trump Jr. is expected to answer questions from the January 6th committee in the coming days. The former president's son appearance would follow an interview his fiancée Kimberly Guilfoyle had with the committee earlier this week. Trump Jr.'s sister Ivanka also met with the committee for nearly 6 hours. The House Select Committee already has text messages between Trump Jr. and then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. In a previous statement, Trump Jr.'s attorney said it's possible his client was forwarding text messages that he did not write. A shopping mall in suburban Cincinnati was the scene of what it might look like a crime movie to witnesses. At around 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, a group of 8 to 10 people wearing ski masks and gloves walked into a Louis Vuitton store. Evidently, they were after bags, started grabbing items, knocking things over, and by the time security made it to the store, they were gone. Heists have happened in places like California and Chicago. This type of crime, evidently, they're saying, is uncommon in Cincinnati, though I will tell you crime is certainly not uncommon in Cincinnati. Some Chicago business owners have found an innovative solution to the city's growing shoplifting problem. It's got 4 legs and a tail. Tara Molina spoke to a local security company providing gun-sniffing dogs who says their phone has not stopped ringing.
Boss the Labrador likes going after a tennis ball just like any other dog. But with hundreds of hours of training behind that harness, he's capable of a whole lot more.
Here's the gun.
Watch this. He signals quickly, focusing in on exactly where the gun was placed in the backpack.
We know firsthand that canines is the biggest deterrent out there, period.
Tim Clancy leads Action Canine Security and more than 70 trained dogs like Boss. Here for more than 30 years, they work with the city and have security contracts with Chicago institutions like McCormick Place and Navy Pier. But the calls they're getting now?
We are overwhelmed with business.
From retailers and other private businesses.
We're getting calls one after another because of one dog incident.
He's talking about this. 24-year-old Derek Latham arrested just outside Neiman Marcus earlier this month, thanks to a gun-sniffing dog providing store security. Latham is now charged with aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, retail theft, and possession of a controlled substance. A spokesperson for the department store told us in a statement, quote, "In addition to Neiman's full-time in-store security, we're now working with a private security firm and its canine unit for weapons detection." It's not a local firm, not this unit, but the calls they're getting now aren't for services they haven't provided in the past. Clancy told me they worked in the Macy's that left Water Tower Place for a while, and now?
So there's a big trend here about how to protect your stores so you don't leave Chicago.
They could be part of continued ramped-up private security efforts we're tracking across the city, with crime continuing to spike. We found that retail theft is up 145% here on the Near North Side this year, with more than 330 cases, making it the hardest hit area of the city.
We're bringing something more to the table to deter anyone, including up to 3, 4, and 5 individuals from coming in and smash and grab.
Action Canine Security is working on plans where they could have teams work in multiple stores during one day. That's a look at today's top national stories. We'll be back with a special Earth Day interview right after this.
Well, happy Earth Day, 4 states, and we have Denise Fitzpatrick joining us to celebrate this morning. She's with the Pittsburgh Sustainability Advisory Committee, here to talk about a big event coming up in Pittsburgh.
That's right.
And it's actually tomorrow, but a lot of people celebrate Earth Day the entire weekend, so that's exciting. Yeah. Now, I've been a part of Earth Day in the past, but we haven't had a big celebration in Pittsburgh actually in person since before the pandemic. So this is huge.
We're excited about it. Our first one was in 2019, and we were just kind of seeing how it would go over, and you were part of it, and thought it was a great success. And then we weren't able to have one for a couple of years, so we are very excited to be back, and we have 30-some vendors and exhibitors that wanted to be part of it, and I think it'll be a really fun day.
Let's talk about the theme of this year's Earth Day celebration.
Okay. The theme of Earth Day is Invest in the Planet. But you know, it's really just looking at all the things that people can do personally and as a community and as a country and the world, what we can do to make a difference. The word sustainability, which I'm part of that committee, really means what are the things that we do today, the choices that we make that don't have negative consequences for the future. So all those things make a difference.
Yeah, and if you're wondering where to begin, you guys are going to have representatives from different groups. You'll have PSU Sustainability.
We do. We have like 6 different organizations from PSU, and we're so fortunate to have them in our community because they're actually one of the very few universities that have a sustainability program. So they've got so many resources for us, and they're always anxious to participate. We've got Nature Reach, and even the Kansas Polymer Research Center is going to come with an activity for kids. Fish and Wildlife Department, the Students for Sustainability. So we're excited to have them come and join us.
Yeah, and you mentioned activities for kids. This is a family-oriented event.
Absolutely.
That's free to attend. There'll be lots of activities. Keep your kids busy as they go through.
For sure. We encouraged all the exhibitors to have some kind of activities or something that someone could take away with them. So they'll either be teaching something or letting the kids do an activity. The Heartland beekeepers are coming, and that's always fun to see because they actually bring a hive and they have some of their local honey that they have. The K-State Extension Service, Jesse Gilmore will be there, and he's going to talk about composting, which I'm personally very interested in, so I'm excited to see that. We have our new bike shop in Pittsburgh. They're going to come with an electric bike to let people see that, and he also said he might have a couple of little balance bikes to give away in a drawing. There'll be a rain barrel giveaway through the Stormwater Department and a gift card from In the Garden, so all kinds of things.
All right, and it's from 11 to 3 on Saturday at
Yes.
Immigrant Park.
Immigrant Park at the Pritchett Pavilion, which is a wonderful facility for something like this. We've got food vendors that will be there, so you can come and eat lunch. We have live music, just so that you can listen as you're browsing through the exhibits. And rain or shine, but it looks like it's going to be better.
The forecast is looking wonderful.
It is.
Great temperatures. We're going to have sunshune. We're going to have,
it'll
just be
it
perfect.
should
The rain's
be a
going to hold
great
off till
day.
it's all over.
I think so too.
I'm telling you that, Michael. Make sure that happens. No, it should be great. Yeah. And I saw the recycling center is going to be there as well.
Yeah, right. And I think they have an activity I know for kids and big kids, and they're going to be giving away some, one of our vendors is the shaved ice, snowflake shaved ice. So I think if by participating in an activity, they might win a little shaved ice cup. So
that sounds fun.
All kinds of, yeah. And the fun zone is bringing their rock wall just as an activity out there that the kids can climb on with some face painting. So just a lot of fun things.
Sounds like it'll be
Plus
a blast.
electric vehicles. I don't know if I mentioned that, but a lot of interest in that. So you can come and talk to some owners of them and find out some of the details about that.
All right. Well, why do you think it's important that Pittsburgh participates in events like this too?
Well, as part of the Sustainability Advisory Committee, one of our tasks is to really engage with the community and to find out what is needed, what their interests are, and to let them know the resources that are available. And like I said, Pittsburgh, we are so fortunate that we have the recycling center that is so accommodating. They work so hard at taking just so many different items, but people need to know about it. And I think it's just an important thing to teach our children and as a community, so people know that Pittsburgh is concerned about that.
All right. Well, Denise, I hope you guys have a wonderful celebration, and you couldn't ask for better weather for it again.
It sounds great. Yeah. Thank you for having me here.
Again, it is tomorrow from 11 to 3 at the Pritchett Pavilion at Immigrant Park. Bring everybody out in your family. Come and join.
Right.
There'll be food. There'll be music and lots of fun activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of education too.
Right.
All right. Well, you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Happy Earth Day.
You too.
We'll be right back. Topping Health Watch this morning, a study in Spain found adults hospitalized with COVID-19 were more than 3 times as likely to die as those with the flu. Researchers analyzed medical records during the first wave of the pandemic. They found COVID patients were also at higher risk of complications, including kidney injury, blood clots, and respiratory distress. Well, a COVID patient in London had the longest known infection, testing positive for 505 days before dying. That case was part of a UK study of immunocompromised patients with persistent infections. All had weakened immune systems from conditions including organ transplant, HIV, and cancer. The pandemic may have caused a drop in routine childhood immunizations. And new data from the CDC shows during the 2020 to 21 school year, national vaccination coverage among kindergartners dropped from 95% to below 94%. That amounts to 35,000 children without vaccinations against common diseases. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Be a little bit of a warm one today as our temperatures will be up into the 80s. It's already windy, working in about 20 to 25 miles per hour, where we've got wind advisories for southeast Kansas. Going to stay on the dry side, and even tomorrow we'll be up in the high 70s, if not close to 80s, before a little rain kicks in Saturday night and carries us all the way to Sunday morning. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, the Oklahoma Supreme Court gives the green light to move forward on legalizing marijuana.
Warm one on our hands, but it's going to be windy as well. We'll break down the weekend from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the state of Kansas predicts a boost to the amount of tax collections due to inflation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 6:29. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's get to our beautiful forecast and Michael Hayslip.
Not too bad. Wind advisories for most of southeast Kansas, even if your county's not indicated. Know that it's going to come in from the south, 20 to 25 miles per hour. What that has resulted in, though, are just absolutely delightful Friday morning temperatures ranging from 63 all the way up to 72 right now in Sedan. Let's go 69 in Joplin, 68 in Miami, and 69 in both Fort Scott and Nevada. Big ridge of the jet stream hanging over the 4 states, and that is an indicator of very warm temperatures. As a matter of fact, probably about, say 11, 12 degrees above normal is what we'll end up with this afternoon. Now, on top of the wind, we're going to be dry, so we actually do need to calm down, especially south of I-44 from all the rain that we picked up yesterday. But it is going to return. Not really until we get into, say, Saturday evening, though. As it does roll through, Saturday's temperatures are going to be great. And then as we get started here Saturday evening, we do get some definitive lines that will bring us some thunder and lightning for Saturday all the way through Sunday. There's a little bit of a cool down on the backside of it. We're not talking about a tremendous drop. We will be down into the 60s to begin next week. I say Monday into Tuesday, probably our chilliest right there, where we have an overnight low that drops below 40, but should avoid any frost advisories or freeze warnings, unlike we had just 4 days ago.
All right. Wow.
Yeah. Monday freeze warnings, Friday 80s.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that is just crazy. But that is the 4 states. It's not surprising.
I actually doubted myself last half hour, and I was like, but that wasn't this week.
Yeah, it was.
And I went back and I said, okay, it was this week.
It was definitely this week. Yep. Okay. It was a bit chilly in the mornings.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Michael. The Oklahoma Supreme Court rules plans to fully legalize marijuana can proceed to the signature gathering stage. The High Court's green light paves the way for 2 more cannabis plans seeking voter approval. One of those plans would legalize, regulate, and tax the recreational use of marijuana for adults 21 and older. The other would remove the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority from the Oklahoma State Department of Health and create an entirely new state agency called the Oklahoma State Cannabis Commission. A new Kansas fiscal forecast predicts inflation will boost state tax collections more than previously expected. Forecasters increased their projections for tax collections through June of 2023 by $760 million. It's intensifying the dispute between Democratic Governor Laura Kelly and the Republican-controlled legislature over how to cut taxes. Governor Kelly wants to eliminate the state's 6.5% sales tax on groceries, while Republican lawmakers are proposing to phase it out over 3 years. One first-year KCU student races back to school after competing in this year's Boston Marathon. Daniel O'Kelly says this was his first time running in the Boston Marathon. He finished the 26.2 miles in under 3 hours. He says as someone wanting to go into medicine, the experience helps him with his studies.
My productivity, my drive, and my happiness at large. So I've seen exercise as a fundamental part of, my time in medical school. It just helps me be a better student.
Not only has it helped him become a better student, but O'Kelly says he hopes this experience will also help him become a better physician in the long run. We'll have more on Daniel's story when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14 at 7. The White House says the war in Ukraine has entered a critical new stage, one that could determine its outcome. The Biden administration is rushing to deliver aid to the Ukrainians to help them defend their land. Bradley Blackburn reports from New York.
The renewed Russian offensive in Donbass has lent new urgency to the effort to help Ukraine.
We're in a critical window now of time where they're going to set the stage for the next phase of this war.
Yesterday, President Biden said the U.S. is rushing another $800 million worth of military equipment to Kyiv. The shipments include advanced long-range artillery and anti-tank weapons systems.
Our unity with the Ukrainian people is sending an unmistakable message to Putin. He will never succeed in dominating and occupying all of Ukraine.
The president also announced $500 million in direct economic relief for Ukraine, money intended to keep its government running. During a televised meeting with his defense minister, Russian leader Vladimir Putin declared victory in the strategically crucial city of Mariupol. Putin ordered his troops not to storm a steel plant where Ukrainian soldiers and civilians remain holed up. Putin said they should blockade it so tightly that not even a fly could escape. Ukrainian officials say the battle for Mariupol isn't over yet. They insist new satellite images show mass graves near the city, where they accuse Russia of burying up to 9,000 civilians. Ukrainian officials say the photos are proof the Russians are committing war crimes. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he proposed a truce in observance of Orthodox Easter Sunday this weekend, but that offer was rejected. Well, staying in the National League for our second Day in History segment, it was on this date back in 1957 that John Irving Kennedy became the first African-American player on the Philadelphia Phillies. This milestone took place 10 years after Jackie Robinson broke Major League Baseball's color barrier, and it fully integrated the National League. In spring training, Kennedy sparkled, hitting 333 and making only one error at shortstop. But he only played 5 games, getting 2 at-bats and no hits. Kennedy never made it back to the majors after 1957. I was up for a few weeks. Some Negro League players never even got that. That's what he told the Philadelphia Daily News in 1997. In 1959, Elijah Pumpsie Green was the first black player on the Boston Red Sox, the last Major League Baseball team to integrate.
I completely take the blame for all of this when we did Jackie Robinson Day a week ago today. I never brought up the name of Larry Doby.
Okay.
Larry Doby was the first black player in the American League. He came shortly after Jackie Robinson. He was a member of the Cleveland Indians, and I actually had the privilege to spend quality time with Larry Doby when I worked in Cleveland. And you're not going to find a nicer gentleman. And I'm not going to lie to you, I went home on the 15th last week and realized that I had never talked about him.
Well,
I felt so bad.
we had another day to talk about it, so
I
here
did.
you are.
No, I'm glad that turned up, because I really, there was a part of me that was carrying around extreme guilt last weekend, never having brought up the name of Larry Doby. For those of you that are not familiar with him, D-O-B as in boy, D-O-B-Y, and tremendous man. Highs today in the 80s. It's a windy one. That's why we've got the alert day with the high wind advisory that'll stretch all the way into the evening hours. Saturday going to bring us nighttime rainfall, some thunderstorm activity after a warm afternoon, and that rain will last into Sunday morning.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, Elon Musk says he's got $46 billion lined up for a Twitter takeover. Plus, if you're celebrating Earth Day today, the weather should be fantastic. Maybe a little windy, but that's okay. By the way, we want to know what you're doing this weekend, too. We'll let you weigh in. We'll be right back. And Consumer Watch this morning, if you're a video game player, ads may interrupt your gaming experience in the near future. According to an insider report, Sony is working to bring ads to free-to-play PlayStation games. The ads are meant to give game developers a way to monetize their work and encourage them to continue building free-to-play games. It follows news last week that Microsoft is also pursuing a version of the concept, creating a private marketplace to sell in-game ads in free-to-play games on Xbox. Microsoft says its goal is to generate revenue for developments and does not plan to take a cut of revenue. Sony has not yet decided if it would take a portion of ad revenue, but is considering having developers and publishers pay for consumer data. While airlines are reporting a return to near capacity, the same is not true for the hotel industry. A new report projects business travel to be 23% below its pre-pandemic levels in 2022. American Hotel and Lodging Association says its industry has lost $108 billion over 2020 and 2021. There is optimism that leisure travel could recover to pre-pandemic levels later this year. But business travel, the hotel industry's largest source of income, will take significantly longer to recover. Stocks fell Thursday as Fed Chairman Jerome Powell indicated a half-point interest rate hike is likely next month. The Dow was down 368 points. The Nasdaq dropped to 78. The S&P 500 dipped 65. Elon Musk says he has lined up over $46 billion in financing for his bid to buy Twitter. In documents filed with the SEC this week, Musk, the world's richest man, said he will include $21 billion of his own cash in the offer and would borrow the rest. In a tweet posted yesterday, Musk said, "If our Twitter bid succeeds, we will defeat the spam bots or die trying." And Warner Brothers Discovery is pulling the plug on CNN's new streaming service. The company says CNN Plus will cease operating April 30th, just 1 month after it launched. The decision to end the service came just 2 weeks after Discovery took control of CNN's parent company. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for something to talk about.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning, Earth Day. Sand happens to be in hot demand. That's because it's used in everything from our smartphones to skyscrapers. And may seem like there's an infinite supply of it, but guess what? It's not the case. That's why there's people coming up with alternate solutions to try and help with sand supply issues. Earlier, we met Franziska Troutman and the team at what's called Glass Half Full. Their facility in New Orleans, located out of Tulane, pulverizes glass into gravel and sand particle sizes. Our question for you this morning is, what are you doing for Earth Day? And while 82% of you have gone the other route, we also have an even 9% saying that it's either going on a walk or gardening. You can take part each and every morning, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote, or connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. We're going to come back and celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but not before we go to New York and check in with our good friend Jamie Yuccas.
I'm Jamie Yuccas. Coming up on CBS Mornings, we're celebrating Earth Day. See one community's debate over wood pellets as a green energy solution. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Today's four-state hero, John Cantrell. Staff Sergeant Cantrell served in the Army from 1945 to 1954. He served in Germany and Korea with Troop A and the 97th Constabulary Squad. During his service, he earned the Korean Service Medal, 2 Bronze Stars, among several other medals. His hometown, Southwest City, Missouri. We thank you, today's four-state hero, John Cantrell.
Hometowns may or may not be correct today. We could be making them up as we go along. Anyway, when you got a hat like that, oh, thank you, Tim. You're the best. Our wonderful director, Tim, now get this, folks, Tim Anderson, our marvelous director, he not only makes sure that the show stays on the air, he actually just came running into the studio, throwing birthday lists at us so we make sure that we get everybody's hometown correctly, because that's how awesome he is. Tim, you are the best. I appreciate that. And here's the funny thing. You know what I was going to say about Maverick Thompson? I was going to say that he's from Mound Valley.
It just sounded
How
like...
crazy is that?
Yeah.
Isn't that something else?
Because you knew.
Anyway, with a hat like that, you are off and running at age number 1. And Maverick, I want you to know that birthday wishes come with love from Mimi and Papa.
All right.
Valley, it's crazy. It's exactly where I was going to go. Maverick was either going to be from Mound Valley or Kuala Lumpur. I hadn't decided yet.
Good guess. Good guess.
Okay.
Well, Michael Giefer is celebrating birthday number 8 this year, and Michael is in Parsons.
I wonder where they were headed off to.
I don't
there.
think this picture was taken in Parsons, though.
No, I would love to know where they were headed. It's a cool picture, though. You don't get many.
I wonder if that was his first time on a plane.
Yeah, I like that,
That's
Michael.
pretty cool.
That's nice. Rain Edwards celebrating her 8th birthday. Rain, a very happy birthday. You know what she's going to be doing with a warm weekend ahead? She's in Farlington. A little time out by the lake. Absolutely.
I like those bows. That's a great picture there. Happy birthday, Rain. I like that name, too. That's cool. All right. Dalton Clyburn turning 8 years old in Riverton. I probably would have guessed Riverton, hence the background in the picture. But that's an awesome picture there of Dalton. With love from Nana and Papa.
I was going to guess Rivertonia. That's why we leave Tanya in charge of this show, because I would have been wrong. Rylan Smith celebrating her 9th birthday. Rylan, a very happy birthday to you. I'm going to get, is that pom pom and a bow? Do you think?
I think she's dressed up as a cheerleader laying on the beach.
I think so. Rylan, a very happy birthday in Joplin.
All right. Sydney Lehman turning 9 years old this year.
Get your medals on.
Yeah, the award-winning Sydney Lehman. Yeah, in Reeds, Missouri.
What's her jacket say? Your TV's a better quality than mine.
I can't tell.
Tanya actually brings down her TV from her office on the 86th floor. I'm still rocking the black and white 4x3.
If I had to guess, I would say gymnastics.
Okay, I'll buy that. I'll buy that one. Happy birthday, Sid. Elizabeth Sherrill is now a teenager, celebrating the big 13. Elizabeth, congratulations and a happy birthday in Webb City.
Now, I don't think I'm going to take a guess at the next location, but Isabel Mitchell is celebrating birthday number 14 this year.
So I love the name Isabel because it is actually a family name in my family. I've never seen it spelled like that. I absolutely love that.
It is pretty.
That is awesome.
Isabel's got birthday love coming to her from her dad, mom, and brother.
I was going to give Isabel all the credit on that, but I guess I need to credit mom and dad and Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell. If I had seen that, I guarantee I would have stolen that for one of my kiddos. That's really neat right there. Happy birthday, Isabel. Paige Earl is turning 25, and speaking of warmer weather, Paige showing us a little beach picture right there. Happy birthday, Paige.
Oh, that water looks so nice. Can't wait, can't wait. All right, in Anderson, Ethan Hines turning the big 3-0 this weekend. Hey, maybe he'll get some fishing in too.
Good catch. Like that.
He won't have to wear all those layers this time.
Like that.
Yeah.
Bobby O'Banion, a happy 37th birthday. Bobby celebrating in Girard, and it just so happens that Bentley Twigger, who is Bobby's daughter, she has a birthday coming up tomorrow. So a big weekend ahead for both Bobby and Bentley, and a happy birthday to both of you in Girard.
All right, and I love the note on this one. Tyler Powell is turning 40 this weekend, the big 4-0. Time to celebrate for him. And I got a note here that says, with love from Banks and Brooke to our favorite Budweiser man.
This is pretty cool because we're going to go 40, 60, 70. So
Nice.
after Tyler, Scott Moherent is celebrating his 60th birthday. Scott, a very happy birthday to you as he is in the neck.
And let's bump it up another 10 years to Sandra Earl, who's celebrating birthday number 70. Looking great there, Sandra. Love that picture. Happy
So we had a
birthday.
40, a 60, and a 70. What are we missing?
Some milestone anniversaries.
What number are we missing?
50.
There you go. Rick and Susan Henson celebrating 50 years. Do they look, neither of them look old enough to even be married 50 years. There's no way.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Rick and Susan. What a marvelous picture as well.
And that spells out what it takes to get to 50 right there.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Those 4
Congratulations, Hensons.
Yeah. All right, Warren and Wilma Dooley are celebrating a milestone anniversary. Check this out, 65 years. Aw.
What great shirts.
Too.
That's
Granny and Pa.
tremendous.
Aw.
I love those.
The Dooleys are in Columbus. And you know what? You know how they got to 65 years? This is the way to do it.
Because Warren said, I'm going to go get married on my 20th birthday and I'm never going to forget.
Yep. Well, the birthday's on, I'm not sure exactly which day the anniversary is, but his birthday's actually tomorrow. But you know what? You're not going to forget when it's the same weekend.
All right. So what we're saying is that on that 65th anniversary, Warren celebrates his 85th birthday. And that's why we call him Pa.
Hey, we got to add a new member of our KOAM family this year to our birthday list.
Who that is?
Yeah!
Brooke, if you were up early this morning watching, I do want you to know that that's not something that we just randomly shout who that is. You have to be an actual employee and KOAM family member, so we do that as a term of affection. Who that is?
Yes.
That is our new general manager.
Yes. All right. Vice President, General Manager Brooke Arnold.
Love having you here, Brooke. I hope that you are having as much fun as we are. And if she's up this early on her birthday, we will chastise her when she gets to work and be like, why didn't you sleep in? It is your birthday.
No kidding, right? All right. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day.
Like the one time we can pick on the boss. Happy birthday, Brooke. Joyce Copps celebrating his number 73 in Miami. Jim Sparks, a happy 80th birthday. Mr. Jim is in Pittsburgh. And Drake Brasser, a happy birthday to you as well.
Linda Decker turning another year wiser today. Happy birthday to you. And Joe and Shirley Winter are celebrating their 62nd anniversary. Congratulations to the Winters in Richards.
Happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. Here's Tanya Buck with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
And we shall return with more KOAM morning news coming up on Fox 14, including catching up with one of the last living people with an iron lung. We'll be back with more KOAM morning news right after this. Not too shabby a way to end a work week with temperatures up into the 80s. Now remember, it is going to be extremely windy out there as we have wind advisories in effect all the way till this evening. We'll gust anywhere from 40 to 45 miles per hour, but with a high around 81, yeah, it's kind of worth it. Rain will return Saturday evening, Saturday afternoon. Saturday morning, afternoon, looking great. You know, up around 80 degrees again. Saturday night, thunderstorm activity going to carry us into Sunday. A little bit cooler there to start next week. But, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, hard to complain with the, you know, even though it's a little bit below normal. At least we get some sunshine. Yeah. We'll take that.
All right. Yes, we definitely will. All right. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making a country buttermilk dressing in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Morning news continues on KOAM. CBS Mornings coming up next. Look at a controversial industry that's cutting down trees to generate power.
Or you can switch over on with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, we'll revisit the story of Daniel O'Kelly, first-year KCU medical student who just ran the Boston Marathon.
We got I did like a little mental list. I think we had 9 4-staters.
Oh, wow. That you know of, at least, yeah.
Right, yeah, just that I know of. Mm-hmm. Just that I know. And so, yeah, you're right. There's going to be plenty more. That wraps it up for this Friday. Be safe. We'll do this all again on Monday.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.